Hello, welcome to Sketchyville. I am so excited to show you our latest release for the 2020 holiday season, our new dumpster fire ornament kit. There is no better way to memorialize the past year than with this festive flickering ornament. When you order this kit, you're going to get everything you need to put it together. All of the wood pieces, glue, hinges, an empty precision tip bottle, and a flickering tea light. About the only thing that you'll need to have on hand is paint, and really you don't even need that if you prefer it to be wood. To get started, the first thing you want to do is clean off all of your wooden pieces with the enclosed magic sponge and a little bit of alcohol. If you can't find rubbing alcohol, vodka will work, and I know we all have that right now. Now, I wanted my ornament to look all grungy and gross, kind of like how I did after a few weeks of quarantine. So I base coated everything first with black acrylic paint. Once the base coat's dry, you can go over it with a thin, streaky coat of dumpster green. I let the black show through my color coat because that's what creates that dirty, grungy effect when it's finished. You're going to want to make sure to get the paint down into those engraved areas. Scrub it in if you need to. You want to make sure those parts are sealed so that when you flood fill them, the paint doesn't bleed, like it's done in every video I've made so far. The only pieces I didn't coat in green paint are the wheels. Because tires are typically black on my planet, feel free to paint them whatever color your quarantine hallucinations demand, though. For the engraving on the wheels, I just dabbed in a little bit of silver paint to look like hubcaps, or axles, or whatever the hell the center of dumpster wheels is called. Once the paint is dry, it's time to glue, and this is where it gets really fun. Mostly because I haven't left my house in over 8 months, and I don't remember what fun is anymore. Glue the side pieces of the dumpster together using the enclosed wood glue. Just remember that the engraving goes on the outside, and use the tabs to line everything up perfectly. Once the glue is set up enough so that it won't fall apart if you pick it up, which takes about 15 minutes, glue the bottom onto the dumpster and then let that dry for another 15 minutes or so. Glue on the wheels and the side lift supports and let it dry a little bit longer. So now, I know you're seeing some hinges in these shots, and you might be wondering if we skipped a step, but we didn't. We're going to get to them in a minute. But first, I have to explain why a few things look different in this video than they probably do on the ornament you received. So here's the deal. This video is me assembling a prototype ornament. I designed this ornament myself, and usually I make a prototype to figure out where I might need to fix or adjust the design, and then I make the finalized design for the tutorial video. Time was of the essence here though. This was a last-minute idea that I came up with and needed to get into the store as fast as possible, and so I cut out a step to speed the process along. So, because this is a prototype, when I glued my hinges on, I realized that the hanger loop was in the way and the lid wouldn't open. Ugh! It all had to be ripped apart. The lid, the hinges, it all needed to come off. I cut the hanging loop off and drilled a hole to replace it. In the end, it's not a bad modification. It actually makes it easier to put together. I just would have preferred it if I'd thought about that in the first place. Gluing the hinges on is probably the trickiest part of this assembly. First, open up both of the hinges so that they're lying flat. Then, line up your lid pieces next to the back side opening of the dumpster. The protrusion of the hinge, that little cylinder bit that sticks out, should go facing down between the edge of the dumpster and the edge of the lid. You want to make sure you have a little gap there so that everything has room to move. Yes, you can technically put the hinge the other way, but I found it harder to line up when I tried it that way. Okay, now put some glue on your hinges, but don't get it on that cylinder part or your lid is always going to be stuck open. Carefully line the hinges up with that gap that you made between the dumpster and the lid, and gently push the hinges down into place. Ideally, you want a little bit of glue to push up through those 2 screw holes on either side of the hinge. If it doesn't though, that's okay. Just add a little extra dab in each one of those holes. When it's all dry, those holes are going to help anchor the hinge to the wood and keep it in place when you're opening and closing the lids. Now, listen to me very carefully because this next step is extremely important. Walk away. Don't touch it. Do not try and see if that lid opens or closes. Leave it alone for at least 4 hours. 6 to 8 in a perfect world. I am dead ass serious. I did not heed my own advice, and I had to glue my lid on more times than I am willing to admit to you, frankly. I do stupid things so you don't have to. I flood filled the engraved area around the 2020 graffiti with black paint, but that color choice is totally subjective. Do whatever makes your heart happy. The paint to water ratio when you're flood filling is 1 part water to 1 part paint, or a 50-50 mix. When you're flood filling, go slow, don't forget to breathe, and don't drag your tip across the bottom of the engraving. Now, on this project, if you go outside the lines, it's not a big deal. All of the distressing that we're going to be doing is going to cover up any mistakes. So, to distress this and really make it look like it's been beat up and kicked around, I first dry brushed the whole thing with a taupe colored paint. If you've never dry brushed before, all you do is load up your brush with paint and then wipe it all off on a paper towel or a paint rag before you go over your dumpster. And a tip, if you think you've gotten all your paint wiped off your brush, you haven't. Wipe it some more and then touch your project. It's easy to add more dry brushing if you need it. It's almost impossible to take it off. Once I had dry brushed the whole thing with taupe colored paint, I did it again with gray. So now when you're dry brushing, it mostly shows up on the corners or raised edges. So if you want to get it into the middle areas to look like dirt or scrapes, you really need to scrub it in a little bit. So don't be afraid to get a little heavy-handed if not enough paint is going on your project where you want it to. And lastly, I dry brushed one more time with straight white paint, but this time I only did it over that graffitied 2020 to really make it pop. Do you see what I meant about not being able to see any of your mistakes? That dry brushing erases any areas where you went outside the lines. So this is a super easy way to paint that dumpster that looks really distressed and detailed. Anyone can do this. Once the dry brushing is done, so are you. That's it. It's finished. All you need to do is put a hanger on it, pop the tea light in, and bask in the glow of the 2020 dumpster fire. As always, if you want to purchase your own dumpster fire ornament kit, the link to the Sketchyville website is in the description box below, along with all the other supplies that I've used in this video that aren't included in the kit. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it and gave it a thumbs down, I want you to know that you made baby Jesus cry on his birthday. Shame on you. Click the subscribe button to follow us and be notified of all of our upcoming tutorials and product releases. Thanks for visiting Sketchyville. Have a merry dystopian Christmas, and we'll see you again real soon.